Yeah. Okay. So today's Monday, the 27th of November, 2023. Are you getting ready for Christmas?
Slowly.
Do you do Christmas?
I love Christmas, even though it's not really what I talk about. I think
Yeah.
everyone getting together, being happy, the idea of it is sweet.
That's it, exactly. And there's a part of me that still, even though I know Christmas is, all a mass marketing, money making, masking crap,
And pagan.
but
And pagan, too.
pagan, is it? So I was meant to touch on paganism last night with Santos. He was about to talk about that, and then we got cut off. But I'd like to find out more about paganism because I don't really know much about it. But yeah, apart from that, I like, and obviously I know it is that indoctrinated feeling that we've all grown up with, the mulled wine, the cozy fires, the music and
The
everything.
fire
There
is
is,
actually something called a Yule log, and Yule is a pagan concept.
yes, it is, yes. Um,
The tree in the
but
house, the tree in the house, it's
I
pagan.
couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I actually once, and I'm not doing trees this year anyway, even, but before, it was about 4 years ago, I decided for the first time to put a real tree in the front room, Christmas tree, because everyone says, "Oh, get a real tree," and I couldn't do it. I hated it. I hated the energy of this tree in my house, and I had to get rid of it. I
Mm-hmm.
just felt it was so wrong. I don't know why. Um, it just didn't feel right to have a tree inside the house. I just like, no, this isn't right. I don't know what it was. It just no. I couldn't do it. So we got rid of it and put a fake tree up. But there's still a very warm feeling to that festive season, and
Mm-hmm.
it's about the family getting together and everything. So yeah, I don't, that's why I don't dismiss anyone celebrating any of it. But we know it's all, you know. Hi everyone. I'm back here with Micah, and today Micah's going to take us through 6,000 years of astrotheology, which I'm really looking forward to hearing about and learning. So if you've enjoyed these chats so far, please do share this stream, and I'm just going to put it over to you.
Okay.
I like that. Let's get ready to rumble.
All right, let's see here. Hold on. Let me know when you can see this.
Let's add it, and voila.
Beautiful. All right, so I'm going to start off with a little refresher, is what I'm going to do. What is the point of everything that I'm telling you? And if you've watched the first 2 episodes and you're back, I'm going to show you how this is more than just the Bible. So we take for granted that we have calendars, clocks, watches, weathermen. The ancients didn't have any of that. They had sundials. In the Bible, they worked on dream interpretations for the harvest. They had to know things. They needed to know that Taurus was when you put the plow on the bowl and plant as above, so below. The Bible is an encoded farmer's almanac and was the knowledge of staying alive the most important thing. They would look at the stars and see all this movement and make stories up about them and then pass them down to their children, then them to their children. And eventually they learned how to write and wrote them down, and they evolved from Sumerian, which we're going to start with, Babylonian, Egyptian, Judaism, and then Christians in the New Testament and even to the Quran. So I say my point once again is not that those ancient people told literal stories and we're now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. That's John Dominic Croissant. So what I wanted to share with you guys is we'll go over the 12 signs real quick. So the first sign that I talk about, hold on, here we go, is Aquarius, which is the man with the water pitcher. Now, I've already talked about the story of Zeus and the young boy, which is what Aquarius goes back to, but there's key words in Aquarius. Son of man and man, because this is the sign of the man. Baptism, because this picture is literally how you baptize someone. Water pitcher, because this is a water pitcher. Fountain, many Greek fountains were built like this. Stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea. This is water bodies because there's water in the picture. Aquarius, being an air sign, is not a water sign. However, there is water in the picture, so they use that to describe water. Pisces is the sign of the two fish in the water, and Pisces is indeed a mutable water sign. So stream, river, pond, lake, sea, ocean. For example, two fish. When they talk about Leviathan, the fish god, that's talking about Pisces. And whether you know it's Aquarius water or Pisces water truly depends on the patterns that it could make in the heavens, which I'll show you. And Aries is the ram. And in Aries, you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day and a 12-hour night. It's also the Passover, or the passing over of the sun over the equator and back on its way to its height in the summer solstice. In Christianity, the passing over is changed and it becomes the resurrection of God's Son. In the Jewish Passover, the angel of death passes over all the houses, and all the houses that don't have the lamb's blood, and again, a lamb is a baby ram, because they're identifying themselves as the people of Aries. Their firstborn sons get killed if they don't have that blood on the doorpost. So ram, lamb, shepherd, or ram's horn is Aries. Taurus is the bull, and when you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seeds so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra. So when you're talking about bull, ox, calf, which is a baby bull, or cow, which is a female bull, they're talking about Taurus. Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. This is the story of Achilles, which again is another Greek story. So whenever you hear twins or brothers, you're talking about Gemini. Cancer is the crab, and it's the sideways moving creature. Just as the sun rises a degree on its axis starting on December 25th, every single day, an additional degree, it stops on June 21st. Then for 3 days, it rises to the same degree, hence moving sideways. Then on June 25th, it lowers a degree. The crab in the ancient Egyptian time was known as the scarab. So whenever you hear crab or beetle, you're talking about Cancer. Leo is the king. Oh, and incidentally, for Cancer, Christians like to quote St. Augustine to me a lot about his Christianity work. Well, one of St. Augustine's favorite quotes was calling Jesus the good beetle, because he knew that Jesus was the sun, and the sun in Cancer represents the beetle or the crab. Leo is the king, the lion, the king of the jungle, or the king of the savannah, whatever you want to call it. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you're talking about lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk. Remember before when we said that you plant in Taurus? Well, the virgins will cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you're talking about virgin, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, all of these are grainy things that are harvested during Virgo. You can look it up. In the Northern Hemisphere, they're talking about Virgo. Libra is the justice. It's the scales, it's the balance, it's the just one. The reason it's called the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. The Jews always celebrate the new year around the fall equinox in Virgo. For example, this year, Laura, the new year was September 15th. That was Rosh Hashanah for the Jews. Now, 8 days after, and it's always 8 days after the Jewish New Year, you have a day called Yom Kippur, which is the day of judgment. It's when the Jews go to temple and they fast and they don't drink and they pray to God to keep them in the book of life for another year. That's what they do. And incidentally, this year, Yom Kippur was 8 days after September 15th. That's September 23rd. Well, hello. That's the first day of Libra. The scales, the justice. You can't have the day of judgment unless it's in the sign of the judgment. So, Libra is also wine season, which is when you plant for the grapes in Taurus. You could press the wine here. It's also, so you have law, judge, justice, the just one, as Jesus is called, divorce, marriage, court. These are all lawly things. Wine, vineyard, wine press. These are all wine-related things. Grapes, for example. Olive oil, because this is when you press the olives too, to make the olive oil for the year. It's during Libra. All law-related things, all wine-related things, all olive-related things. Scorpio is the scorpion. He's the betrayer. You're not the betrayer. I know you're a Scorpio. This is just the astrology behind it. The reason Scorpio is the scorpion, is the betrayer, is because when a scorpion attacks you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips. It's why the mafia has the kiss of death. That's where they get that metaphor from. It's why Jesus was betrayed by Judas with a kiss. So the sun is judged in Libra, and it's betrayed in Scorpio. Finally in Sagittarius, this is where the bow and the arrow shoot the sun and inflict further punishment on the sun, effectively killing it. Why? Because on December 21st, the sun is at its lowest point. It cannot rise any lower. It's dead. So when they talk about death in the Bible, they're talking about Sagittarius, because this is when the death happens. It's the dead of winter. And it remains at that lowest level for 3 days. It walks sideways like the crab. When on December 25th, or the birth of God's Son, the light of the world, the only begotten Son, it rises another degree and starts to make its way back up to the top. So whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, you're talking about Sagittarius. And then the last one is Capricorn, which is the goat. And if you look at the bottom of the wheel, you'll see Capricorn. This is how the wheel is supposed to look, by the way. Capricorn at the bottom, Cancer at the top. When you look at Capricorn at the bottom, if you put a little sun at the very, very bottom, and you start marching it to the left, representing it going up a degree every day, it starts to climb up the mountain, the great mountain of the zodiac in Capricorn. And this is why the mountain goats climb the mountain so well, because that's what it comes to. Now, there's a couple other keywords that I want to give you. This is part of what I've done. I've went into Ptolemy's list in 150 AD, where he listed the 48 constellations that they knew about at the time. There's other keywords besides what I've given you. For example, in Aries, you have ram, lamb, shepherd, ram's horn, triangle, because there's a constellation called Triangulum, or Draco, which is the dragon. That's where the tail starts. Taurus, bull, calf, ox, cow, queen, because Cassiopeia is in Taurus. So you could talk about a queen. Andromeda, which is the chained woman. The belt, Orion's belt. Gemini is the twin brothers. Gemini is also the little bear, Ursa Minor. The charioteer, chariot, Auriga. Hunter, Orion. Rabbit, Lepus. Deer, Mariga. Camel, leopard, Camelopardalis. The interesting thing is when they talk about chariots and horses, they always say chariots and horses. They combine them all the time. Well, the charioteer, the chariot, is Auriga, which is in Gemini. And the horse is Sagittarius. And those are opposing signs on the zodiac. So they make a pattern there. And crab, scarab, great bear, little bear, Ursa Major, Ursa Minor. Bees, the beehive cluster. Honey. Dog, Canis Major, is in Cancer. Donkey, Acellus Borealis. There's also a constellation that begins in Cancer called the Ship, which is Argo. Leo is lion, lioness, cub. Water snake or serpent, Hydra, Hail Hydra, that's where that comes from. Little bear, great bear, and the ship is Argo. Virgo, virgin, woman, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn. The great bear, water snake, sea serpent, Hydra. There's a constellation called Corvus, which is the raven. The cup, which is crater. The ship, which is Argo. I'm not expecting you guys to remember all these, only that when I actually go through these and show you the breakdown, you could be like, yeah, I remember him saying that. Law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, wine vineyard, wine press, olive oil, the water snake, serpent, Hydra, the cup, crater, the wolf, lupus, and the ship, Argo. Scorpio, scorpion, betrayer, betrayal, crown, because there's a constellation called Corona Borealis, which is the northern crown. Water snake, serpent, wolf, lupus, ship, Argo. Sagittarius, horse, bow and arrow, spear, horseman. Wolf, lupus. Altar, Ara. Crown, Corona Australis, southern crown. Draco, dragon. Milk, the Milky Way galaxy, centers in Sagittarius. Capricorn, goat, kid, vulture, eagle, that's Lyra, and the eagle, which is Aquila. So those are, and then we have Aquarius, the son of man, man, baptism, water pitcher, water jar, fountain, stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea, dragon, Draco. The tail of Draco, the dragon, goes from Aries to Sagittarius, which is 1/4 of the zodiac. No, which is 1/3 of the zodiac. You have the 4 signs, 4 out of 12. So it's 1/3 of the signs. This is why in Revelation 12, when they talk about the dragon's tail sweeping 1/3 of the stars out of the sky, the tail is literally 1/3 of the stars out of the sky. So they're just announcing that. Vulture, eagle, Lyra. Eagle, Aquila. Swan, Cygnus. Sea monster, whale, Cetus. And then finally you have Pisces. Stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea, fish, Leviathan, Dagon, Mithra. These are competing fish gods at the time with Christ. 2 fish, the dragon Draco, the swan Cygnus, the sea monster whale, Cetus. I don't expect you to remember all of these, but this is basically, these are all the key words, and they're all constellations. So let's talk real quick before I jump into this. This is the Epic of Gilgamesh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through 3 Sumerian tablets. I'm going to go into 2 Babylonians, 2 Egyptians. I already did the Bible, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all the Gnostic texts and show you how they're all encoded the same way. We'll get to the Quran and we'll get to the Book of Mormon, and I'll show you how every single ancient holy text has this pattern included into it. So do you have any questions before I start, or do we have any questions?
Someone said, mention what is zeitgeist? Zeitgeist?
It's like, I get that a lot. Zeitgeist was a movie created by Peter Joseph, where about 10, 15 years ago, he brought mainstream attention to astrotheology. But this goes way beyond anything that Peter Joseph did. Now, there's some people out there that have supposedly debunked Zeitgeist or this and the matter. It really doesn't matter. It's basically a very intro level to it. My mentors, Jordan Maxwell and Santos Bonocci, some of their work made it into there. I know you just had Santos on. Those are the only 2 I've studied from, and then I've kind of done my own work off of it. But Zeitgeist, my problem with Zeitgeist is it didn't go nearly as far or as complete as I have. You know, they really had a chance there to really share some good stuff, and they didn't. So I have like a love-hate relationship with Zeitgeist. It brought the attention to things, but at the end of the day, people think they debunked it. You can't debunk it because it's based.
Yeah, so that's what this gentleman's just said. Shorty, hi, Zeitgeist, if I'm saying that right, cannot be disproven. So they didn't go. So it's actually a film, is it?
It's a film. It's a 3-part film. The first part,
right? I'm watching.
Well, there's 2 films. There's 2 or 3 films. The first part of the first film is the Astrotheology, and then I think he does 9/11, and then he does the Federal Reserve. It's basically a 3-part breakdown in the first movie of things that they're keeping from us.
But is this a mainstream movie?
It's as mainstream as the underground gets.
Right. Okay. Super. Right. Okay. That's brilliant. There's no other questions at the moment. So Gilgamesh is supposedly buried beneath the Euphrates, and that river is drying out. Is that something you've come across?
Gilgamesh was written on a tablet, and it was written in Sumerian. It's actually the epic story. In fact, in the Epic of Gilgamesh, you'll find the complete telling of Noah's Ark 1,000 years or more before Noah's Ark actually came into the Bible. Noah's Ark is not an original story. It comes from the Epic of Gilgamesh. I'm pretty sure I have some slides in here to show you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you one example of astrotheology from all these crazy texts. And I'm going to show you that they're built into it. So let's just jump right into it. So the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is Sumerian. May the bear mourn you, the hyena, the panther, the leopard, deer, jackal, lion, wild bull, gazelle. May the rivers Ulaya and Euphrates mourn you, whose sacred waters we offered to the gods. May the young men of the great walled Uruk mourn you, who cheered when we slaughtered the bull of heaven. Who's the bull of heaven? That's Taurus. May the farmer mourn you, who praised you to the skies. In his harvest song, may the shepherd mourn you, who brought you milk. May the brewer mourn you, who made you fine beer. May Ishtar's priestess mourn you, who messaged you with sweet-smelling oil. May the wedding guests mourn you like their own brother. The bear is Ursa Major. The great bear, Gemini and Cancer. The hyena is Eltanin, which is the hyena and its 3 knots of Draco's tail. Aries to Sagittarius. I mentioned that Draco's tail is 4 signs. The panther is Elanthropedia. The panther made up of 26 stars. The leopard is Camelopardalis. See, the Camelopardalis, which is in Gemini, refers to a camel or a leopard. The giraffe used to be called Camelopardalis because they looked at this thing, this tall thing with spots, and they go, that's a camel leopard. That's what they called it. It's in Gemini. Mriga, or the deer, is located in Orion between Taurus and Gemini. The lion is Leo. The wild bull is Taurus. The rivers are Pisces, the water sign that signifies water. The bull of heaven is obviously Taurus. The shepherd is Aries, as previously mentioned. The milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy, whose center is in Sagittarius. The brewer and the fine beer is from barley, which is harvested in Virgo. Ishtar's priestess is Virgo, the woman. The sweet-smelling oil is the oil from Libra. Mourning their own brother is Gemini, the brothers. So you have Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Sagittarius. The 4 major points of the zodiac, because the spring equinox is in Aries, the summer solstice is the first day of Cancer, the first day of Libra is the fall equinox, and Sagittarius, the last day, is the winter solstice. The solstices and the equinoxes. So we have Gemini, Cancer, Aries to Sagittarius. That's Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Sagittarius. Taurus, Leo, Pisces, Virgo. In this pattern that I just explained to you, there are 10 out of the 12 zodiac signs. It's just missing Scorpio and Capricorn.
Right.
So 10 signs. So that's not by accident that they do that. Now, Astrotheology and Enki in the World Order, Sumerian. This is another Sumerian tablet. Father Enki engendered by a bull, begotten by a wild bull. Great dragon who stands in Eridug, a grove of vines extending over the land, where stags are born, where wild goats are born, in meadows. You close up the days and make the months enter their houses. The bull is Taurus, the dragon, and its tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius. The stag is the deer, which is Mriga, which is in Orion, which sits between Taurus and Gemini, and the goats are Capricorn. We have Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Sagittarius. So you guys understand that these patterns are for real. These are all connecting signs. When they talk about the months entering their houses, they speak about the months locked into their zodiac houses. There's 7 signs here, right, to open the tablet. This is the opening of Enki and the World Order. So the first 2 that I've given you, the Sumerian tablets, there were 10 zodiac signs in the first one. And then there's 7 zodiac signs in a row in this tablet. Enki and Nirhusaja. In Delmon, the raven was not yet cawing, the partridge not cackling, the lion did not slay, the wolf was not carrying off lambs, the dog had not been taught to make kids curl up, the pig had not learned the grain was to be taken. The raven is the constellation Corvus, which means raven and borders Virgo. The lion is Leo. These 2 are connecting signs. The wolf is the constellation Lupus, which borders Libra. Leo, Virgo, and Libra are 3 signs in a row. The lamb is Aries, which is the wolf's opposing sign, Aries and Libra. The dog is Canis Major, which is 11 stars in Cancer. Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and Libra, 4 signs in a row. The pig is a constellation called Porcus, which is in the southern sky, which disappears in April. It was supposedly discovered by the Greeks in the 5th century BC, yet the Chinese have had it in their zodiac just as long, if not longer.
Yeah.
The Enuma Elish. So now I showed you some examples in the Sumerians, and believe me, there's a ton of Sumerian tablets that I'll eventually get to and show you that it's no different. For the record, I have broken down 63 ancient holy texts. This is the Enuma Elish. This is Babylonian. Then Tiamat enlisted a horned snake, a Meshusu dragon, a mad dog, and a scorpion man, half fish, half man, half bull. The horned snake is Ophiuchus, a dragon. Draco, the mad dog, is the dog star Sirius. The scorpion man is a Scorpio and Aquarius mix. The half man, half fish is Aquarius Pisces border. Aquarius being the man, Pisces being the fish. This is where we get mermaids from, by the way, and mermen. Merman is a mix of Aquarius, the man, and Pisces, the fish. These are connecting signs. A mermaid is Virgo, the woman, and Pisces, the fish mix. Those are opposing signs. So there's patterns being made here, which blends the fish and the man sign. The half man, half bull, which is half Aquarius, half Taurus. The Code of Hammurabi. This is where all the laws come from in the Bible. And I'm not talking about the laws directly. What I mean by that, is, for example, when they tell you, like, if you beat your slave and he doesn't survive, you have to pay $30 to, or 30 shekels to, or whatever, however they break down commerce in the Old Testament, they got from the Code of Hammurabi. If a man has stolen ox or sheep or ass or pig or ship, whether from the temple or the palace, he shall pay 30-fold. The man sign is Aquarius. The ox is Taurus. The sheep is Aries. The ass is a Celis Borealis donkey, which is located in Cancer. The pig is the constellation Porcus. The ship is a constellation that goes from Cancer to Scorpio. So the ox and the sheep are connecting signs. And Cancer to Scorpio. So these are 7 signs in a row. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. O mighty of knives, lady of the two lands, the one who smashes the enemies of the weary-hearted one, the one who does what is wise, the one free of wrong. The name of its gatekeeper is Long-Horned Bull. What is to be said when arriving at the 5th portal? Words spoken by the Osiris Ani, the vindicated. O fiery one, mistress of heat, the joyful one, the one whom the entities of the bald-headed do not descend. The one who asks that something be given to her without swift of glance entering into her. The name of its gatekeeper is one who spears the disaffected. The lady is Virgo, the woman. The long-horned bull is Taurus, the bull. The spear represents Sagittarius, the man with the bow and the arrow, sometimes translated as a spear. So I'm going to explain the spear now to you. The spear is very important. The 2 most important deaths in the Bible have to do with a spear. Jesus was hit in the side with the spear of destiny to make sure he was dead. That's one of the most important murders. And the second one would be the first murder, Cain and Abel, where while Cain hit him over the head with a rock, the name Cain in Hebrew translates to spear. So it's a very important word. Chapter for becoming, so this is still the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Chapter for becoming Ta. Eating bread, drinking beer, purifying the hinder parts, and being alive in Heliopolis. What will you live on, say the gods and the spirits to me? I will live and have power through bread. Where will you eat it, say the gods and the spirits to me? I will have power and I will eat it under the branches of the tree of Hathor, my mistress, who made offerings of bread, beer, and corn. Remember, bread, beer, and corn, I actually mentioned all of that. That's all Virgo. Those who are in Heliopolis bow their heads to me, for I am their Lord, I am their bull. The bread, beer, and corn is all Virgo when you harvest. The bull is Taurus. Heliopolis is the city of light in Egypt. It was called On, and that's why when you go into a room today, you have to turn the lights on to become lightened or enlightened. Everything is spiritual. It's just encoded. The emerald tablets of Thoth. This is Egyptian too. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. Notice here he says Son of Man, which is how it's supposed to be accurately. Deep beneath the rocks, I buried my spaceship, waiting for the time when man might be free. Over the spaceship erected a marker in the form of a lion, yet like unto man. Incidentally, the lion and the man is Aquarius, the lion is Leo. Those are opposing signs on the zodiac. So they're always making these patterns. There neath the image rests my spaceship, forth to be brought when ye shall arise. There is an interdimensional spaceship. It's 3 atoms thick. It is buried under one of the chambers under the Sphinx. This is why they will not let you dig under the Sphinx's paw. This is why nobody is allowed to do that. This goes back to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which are, there's a great debate if they're 30,000 years or 36,000 years or however many old they are, but this is why they will not let you dig under the Sphinx. Bear with me a sec.
It's okay.
Okay, so the Book of Enoch. We're going to do the Gnostic text now. And I'm going to show you that for people who read the Bible and think that those are the correct books that are in there, all these books, all the Gnostic texts, are all broken down the same way as the Bible. Chapter 8.2, they're openly telling you this. Simjaza taught enchantments. Armoros, the resolving of enchantments. Barakiel taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Sariel, the course of the moon. 51:4. And in those days shall the mountain leaps like rams, that's Aries, and the hills shall also skip like lambs, that's Aries, satisfied with the milk, that's the Milky Way galaxy, the center is Sagittarius. The Gospel of Q. Give us our daily... I'm sorry?
Q?
Well,
not the Q.
Not that Q. Not that Q. The Gospel of Q is supposedly the closest translated words of Christ that we've ever had. See, about 20 years ago, there was a movie that came out called Stigmata, which was centered around the Gospel of Thomas, which was the most like mind-blowing, breaking gospel that have ever come out. Since then, the Gospel of Q has been mythologized, basically. They didn't know if it was real. They never found anything, but they eventually did. Give us our daily bread today. Which of you would give your child a stone if they ask for bread? Or would you give them a snake if they ask for fish? The bread is Virgo. The snake is Ophiuchus, which is the serpent bearer. It's the 13th sign of the zodiac in Vedic astrology. See, I've gone over 12. There's actually a 13th sign, but it's a different form of astrology. Ophiuchus is the serpent bearer, which is a man holding a box with a serpent in it, and its tail is facing Sagittarius, the man on the horse. This is why in the Bible, when they tell you that the snake will bite the heels of a horse and the rider will fall off, well, that's what it looks like in the heavens, because the head of the snake is this way and it's facing the horse's heels. It's just outlining the heavens. The bread is the snake. The bread is Virgo. The snake is Ophiuchus, and the fish is Pisces. Pisces and Virgo are opposing signs. Everyone who divorces his wife and remarries is unfaithful to her, and whoever marries someone who's divorced is unfaithful to. Which of you, if you had 100 sheep and lost one of them, wouldn't leave the 99 in the hills and go after the one that got lost? Divorce, marriage, court, law is all Libra, the sheep are Aries. These are opposing signs. So we're on slide 52. Let me just break this down for you guys so you guys understand this. Look at the wheel here. Look at Cancer all the way at the top, okay? The connecting signs for Cancer would be Gemini to the left and Leo to the right. That's a pattern. Cancer's opposing sign is Capricorn. So when I'm talking about these passages that I've broken down, if you look at Pisces, they're not talking about Pisces the fish with Gemini the twins where there's no connection. No. These are always connecting or opposing. Okay, these are this is how you decode things. So the secret gospel, let me just see here. Yeah, the secret gospel of John. Sophia saw what her desire produced. It changed into the form of a dragon with a lion's head. Draco is the sign of the dragon. Its tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius. The lion's head is Leo the lion. Well, Aquarius is part of Draco's tail, and Leo are opposing signs. The Gospel of Thomas, this is what I brought up. The movie was called Stigmata. It came out 25 years ago. And it had Patricia Arquette in it. And you guys should see that.
It was brilliant.
You saw it?
Stigmata.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. I loved it.
The Stigmata was based completely on the Gospel of Thomas. These were considered the
No
original
way.
of Christ.
It was absolutely brilliant. And I used to, obviously, I've always been a film addict. So, and Stigmata I thought was one of the best films out there. It was actually quite frightening.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize it was based on this, because they believe, there's a people that believe that this happens. You get it's all about to do with the Jesus signs, isn't it? And all the things that happen to Jesus.
The story of Stigmata is that there is a very righteous, very like Padre Pio level righteous man who experienced Stigmata in the church, and he died, and he mailed one of his items. I can't remember what it was, but he mailed one of his items, and then Patricia Arquette, who was an atheist in the movie, comes across it. I forget if it was $1 or something, or she buys it at a flea market. That's what she does.
Yeah. I think her mum sends her something, doesn't she?
Her mom bought something at
Yeah.
the flea market. It was like a little trinket that was part of this man's life, a very righteous man, and it makes its way to Patricia Arquette, and then she's an atheist, but she starts feeling the Stigmata. She starts going through that. The Stigmata, for people who don't know, is that there are people out there who are so deeply devout that sometimes, and this has to be viewed and checked by the Vatican, but there are people out there who show the signs of infliction on Jesus. Like they'll have holes in their hands or their wrists, maybe in their feet. There is something to that, but that's what this movie is basically about. So the Gospel of Thomas is what it completely centers around, because she reveals the Gospel of Thomas. The Gospel of Thomas had just come out. Happy is the lion that a man will eat. The lion will become a man. Cursed is the man whom the lion eats, for that lion will become a man. We're talking about ingesting an animal and their components will become part of you. However, in astrology, the lion is the sign Leo, and the sign of the man is Aquarius. They're opposing signs of the zodiac. This is a passage made about those two. In the story of Daniel and the lion's den in the Bible, in the book of Daniel, it's a story of a man with the lions. It's the same thing. You have Aquarius, the man, and lions, Leo. Man is like a skilled angler who casts his net and draws it full of fish. They're talking about the man Aquarius and the sign of Pisces, the fish. These are connecting signs. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Mary questioned her master. At the end of an eon, will all matter be destroyed? Each zodiac sign is considered a house. So the house of Aquarius, the house of Pisces. Each sign is also called an eon or an era. There's different words for it. In Luke 22:10, he replied, as you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to the house that he enters. Well, that's number one, literally Aquarius. But the way that you know it's literally Aquarius, because what happens is the disciples go to Jesus and say, where will we meet for your next Passover? And he's telling them the age of Pisces is coming to an end. You need to go to Aquarius. And what this is actually telling you is that men actually never carried water back in the day. It was an incredibly effeminate job. Women carried the water. In some African countries, it's still the same way too. But back in the day, men would never carry water. So the fact that they were talking about a man carrying a jar of water is absolutely talking about Aquarius. The Gospel of Philip. When he came to his disciples in splendid glory on the Mount of Olives, he wasn't small. He became great and made his disciples great, so they could see him in his greatness. On that day, he said in gratitude, you who have united perfect light with Holy Spirit, unites us with the angels as well. Don't scorn the Lamb. Without him, it's impossible to know the King. No one may visit the King without robes of light. The olives, the Mount of Olives, the olives are in Libra. The Lamb is Aries. These are opposing signs. But when you basically have this cipher, you could write any story about it and just embed this. And then what happens is if you know how to read this, you can map out the heavens. You know what to do and what sign. You know what's going to happen. You're also making nice patterns in the sky. This is how they handed down their information about the heavens. These are stories. These are fantastical stories, deeply spiritual and encoded astrology stories. The Good Samaritan gave wine and oil to the weak man. The wine and the oil both come from Libra. Notice it's wine and oil. Why would he give him wine and oil? Well, those both happen in Libra. The Gospel of Judas. A nearby lake of still waters quenched our thirst. The place reminded us of David's famed shepherd psalm. Our souls were restored. The lake of still waters is Pisces, the water. The shepherd is Aries. These are connecting signs. Book of Jubilees. And on the second day, he created the firmament in the midst of the waters. And the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went above, and half of them went down below the firmament. I've mentioned this before, but the firmament is not a dome over a flat earth. The firmament are the dividing lines between signs. Some call them cusps, other handover dates, other dividers. There are many names for what they represent, which is when a sign hands over to another sign. It's a merging of the energies. The water multiple are Aquarius, the man with the water pitcher, and Pisces, the two fish in the water. The firmament divides them and keeps them in life. So the firmament above, if you look at this picture, would be Aquarius, and then the firmament divides from the water from the water. Well, Aquarius and Pisces are both water. So this is talking about him creating these first two signs, or God creating. Gospel of Emmanuel, discovered by Billy Meyer. You brood of vipers, in 2 times 1,000 years, you and your descendants who carry on false teachings out of your own pride, from motives of power and greed, shall be punished and your lives be destroyed. So it will be when the human race begins to comprehend and separate the wheat from the chaff. It is immediately followed after that passage. The wheat is Virgo. That's when you separate the wheat from the chaff. This is astrotheology. The false teachings are the literal teachings they make, but Emmanuel predicts that in 2,000 years, the truth will come to light. This is a passage that we hear often. It tells you that in the New Age Aquarius, this has been predicted to come to light. 443. Nevertheless, do not heed these false teachings, because millennia will pass before people of the human races will be able to recognize the truth. Now think about that passage from an astrotheological point of view. Hence, following the fulfillment of your mission, centuries and 2 millennia will pass before the truth of your knowledge brought among the people will be recognized and disseminated by some humans. 1220. This earth can nourish and support 500 million people. Remember that number of all the human races. But if these laws are not followed, in 2,000 years, 10 times 500 million, which would be 5 billion, will exist and the earth will not be able to support them anymore. Where have we heard the 500 million before? This gospel.
Where is that? Sorry, carry on.
This gospel was discovered in 1963. What was created in 1980?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
That's where they get the 500 million number from, guys.
So that gospel was created quite late.
It was discovered by Billy Meyer. Billy Meyer is a controversial ufologist. He's the one that took some pictures in the 70s that came out and people said they were not real. Supposedly he was with a friend in Israel and he came to a certain point in Israel and he dug a hole in the sand and found this gospel in a little crevice.
Yeah, I don't believe that.
Right. So, I mean, you're talking about like Joseph Smith and the Golden Tablets from Mormonism. There's a lot of things that stretch the imagination. But from what I've been able to trace, this 500 million number that the elites are trying to keep us to come from that gospel. The gospel was found in 63. The Georgia Guidestones were put up in 1980. So it's not that far away.
Yeah, definitely don't believe that.
Since the human races will at that time comprise far more than 10 times 500 million people, great parts of them will be eradicated and killed. Well, think about it. How many people were around when they discovered this in the 60s? It was around 5 billion people, right? So whether you say it was predetermined or predestined or it was written that way for a specific reason, Truly I say to you, from now on I will no longer drink of the fruit of the vineyard, nor eat of the bread, until I drink and eat again with you after my affliction. The grapes are Libra, and the bread is Virgo. These are connecting signs. The Quran. Those who do not know say, why has not the Lord turned the word to us? And why will he not show us a sign from heaven? What's a sign from heaven, guys? Similar words were spoken by those who came before them. Their hearts are alike. We interpret the signs, again, the signs, for those who are committed to the faith. And how beautiful all people see the love of earthly possessions. Here are women and sons. There are mountains of silver and gold, and marked horses and herds of cattle, and a plowed field. Women are Virgo, the sign of the woman. The sons are the boys in Gemini. Horses are Sagittarius, and cattle is Taurus. A plowed field is Taurus as well. Taurus and Gemini are connecting signs. Gemini and Sagittarius are opposing signs. This is in the Quran, guys. Verily is in the creation of earth and sky and the change of night to day. Here are the hidden signs for those who have intelligence. If you know what he means by the word signs, the Quran tells a much different story. Verse 6, the cattle. And among them there are those who only pretendingly listen to you. We put a cover on their hearts so that they would not understand it, and we covered their ears with deafness. And even if they see all the signs, they will not believe them. Here is the one who brings down water to you from the sky, and with it we give plants of all kinds to grow. And with it we grow shoots of cereals. From them we grew grains, sitting in an ear of a dents side by side. From the date palm, its ovaries, bunches of fruits hanging low, gardens of vines, olives, pomegranates, which in many ways are so similar, yet so different from each other. When fruits appear on them, rejoice in how they are poured and ripened. Here we go. Truly in this are hidden signs for those who believe in God. While the grains are planted in Taurus, then April showers bring May flowers, water from the sky. The grains grow. You reap in Virgo. The gardens of vines and olives, well, that is Libra. These are the hidden signs you need to know. And whoever wants to own a beautiful garden of date palms and vines, which is washed by abundant streams, where for his pleasure all kinds of fruit, while old age befalls him, and the children are weak, so that a fiery whirlwind falls on the garden and swallows it all to ashes. So the Lord explains his signs to you so that you can understand. Vines and vineyards are Libra. The streams are the streams in the water sign of Pisces and Aquarius. God explains these 12 signs to you so you can understand this. I just gave you a bunch of stuff from the Quran, guys. The Quran. People are killing each other over these texts, killing each other. Divisions of Muslims, Sunni, Shiite, whatever you want to call them, they're killing each other over interpretations of an astrology book, just like everything else I've shown you. So nevertheless, okay, so this is the Book of Mormon now, by the way. Nevertheless, I went forth, and as I came near unto the house of Laban, I beheld a man, and he had fallen to the earth before me, for he was drunken with wine. Yeah, and I also thought that they could not keep the commandments of the Lord according to the law of Moses, save they should have the law. Both wine and lawly things take place in Libra. They're always connecting them. And after the house of Israel should be scattered, they should be gathered together again. Or in fine, after the Gentiles have received the fullness of the gospel, the natural branches of the olive tree, or the remnants of the house of Israel, should be grafted in, or come to the knowledge of the true Messiah, their Lord and their Redeemer. Therefore, remember, O man, for all thy doings thou shalt be brought into judgment. Well, they were just talking about olives, which is Libra, and judgment, which is Libra. Just like here, wine and lawly things. Libra, this is Libra. It's a pattern. It's a cipher that can completely unlock this book. And my father said he should baptize in Bethabara, beyond Jordan. And he also said he should baptize with water, even that he should baptize the Messiah with water. And after he had baptized the Messiah with water, he should behold and bear record that he has baptized the Lamb of God, who should take away the sins of the world. Well, baptism is literally Aquarius. It's literally Aquarius. It's a man holding a water pitcher, pouring it out. The only difference is it doesn't have a child under it. That's Aquarius. That's what baptisms are. It is as above, so below with Aquarius. The man pouring out the water pitcher, the Lamb of God, is Aries. And I looked and beheld the Lamb of God, that he was taken by the people. Yeah, the Son of the everlasting God was judged of the world, and I saw and bear record. The Lamb of God is Aries. The Son of God, or the Son of Man, is Aquarius. Judging takes place in Libra. Libra and Aries are opposing signs. And I just wanted to show you this real quick. I teach all this in a book series and more. In my book series, I talk about gematria, etymology, numerology, astronomy, astrology, astrotheology, out-of-body experiences, the Akashic records, symbology, remote viewing, religious secrets, capstones of the pyramids, DNA encoding, mystery school channelers, near-death experiences, DMT monitoring, lucid dreaming, acoustic levitation, physics and quantum physics, psychotherapy, psychology, spiritual guides, and shared dreaming, crystal technology, conspiracies that not many people know about. This is my book series. It's called Into the Rabbit Hole series. If you go to my website, debunkmywork.com, these are really fun reads that will really get deep into the esotericism and teach you guys stuff while you're on a Dan Brown sort of adventure. And for kids, me and my astrologer came out with A for Air is for Aries. And you can also find that on debunkmywork.com. So now that I've actually done this with you, let me ask you a question, Laura. What is more likely? Is the Bible, which is, again, not original with astrotheology, as I've just took you through 6,000 years, what is more likely? What makes more sense to you? Is the Bible a magical book that should be taken literally and should it be taken literally and keeps coming true with predictions about what's happening? Or because back all the way to the Sumerians, all the way to the Book of Mormon that I've shown, they're all encoded astrotheology books. And what the elites are doing is they know they were written this way, but what they're doing is, I guess what's more likely, that this magic book keeps coming true, or that the elites are tailoring events that can be interpreted by people to show prophecy coming through. But as I've just shown, I just went through 6,000 years worth of astrotheology. This is the basis of every single holy text.
I've always said that I believe the Bible is not a book of prophecy, but a book that they are working to what is being prophesied.
Yeah, it's very easy to see what's going to happen, and then it'll be,
And if you were to take the Bible literally, well, then it's a book of incest. Because if everyone came from Adam and Mary, then it's incest.
Well, it's even interesting, too, because there's something called apologetics that the religious like to play with, which explains how there's a talking donkey. Or even more important, how Adam and Eve were the first two on earth. They had Cain and Abel. Cain gets sent off after the murder with Abel, where he has to have it's where the Scarlet Letter comes from, by the way, because he's marked. He's marked because they can't kill him. He's marked. And then he goes off to somewhere else and finds his wife. Well, where did his wife come from?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is as well, I mean, if the Bible's meant to be the book of God's word, why is it so devastating? Why is there so many murders and killings and children dying and God wiping out?
Because you weren't supposed to read it literally. There's a reason the Bible if you read it literally, with all these contradictions, this and that. These are encoded stories. These are fancy encoded stories. The Greeks did this. The Romans did this. They looked at the heavens and they were like, Jupiter's doing this again, or Zeus is doing this. This is where it all comes from. It's all star poetry. And I just showed you it.
It is fascinating, isn't it? What's also the Aquarius water sign is the firmament. The wiggly lines are waters above and below the firmament, love. Yeah. So when you go back to one of your slides, I think it was just where you explained everything in your books. Can we just touch gently on some of those things?
Hold on one sec. I have to reopen it. Give me a sec.
A couple of just the slide before your books. Yeah, but yeah, again, you know, if the Bible's a metaphor, then it's down to interpretation, and when something is open to interpretation, well, we all make up a different, you know, opinion on it, and that's why there's so many wars, because you know we can't all agree. Was it David Wynne-Miller said no war was ever started over a mathematical calculation because it's not open to its interpretation, whereas the English is open to interpretation. Right, let me bring it.
Let me tell you about how astrology can be used. There's a story of Christopher Columbus, who a lot of people think discovered America, and a lot of you know that he didn't. But what you don't know is when he was going to India to look for spices, and he came across America. That's why he calls them Indians, because he thought that they were from India, or supposedly. That's not true. Columbus had to go to the Pope to get blessing to discover the New World. When he got here, he got off and he was talking to the natives, and his people were hungry. Some died. There was issues, smallpox, for example. And he asked these natives, "Can you give us food? Can you give us shelter?" And they said no. So he went back to his ship and then came back to them a short while later and said, "You've angered my God. In 2 days, he's going to make the sun disappear." That's what he said to them. Lo and behold, 2 days later, there was an eclipse, which he knew because he had astrologers and astronomers back where he was, Spain. And he knew this was going to happen. So, holy crap, the sun disappeared. So now they give him everything he wants, and then he slaughtered everyone. But yeah, this is important stuff to know. They don't want you to know. The other thing they don't want you to know is they don't want you to listen to male astrologers, because number one, they automatically assume they're gay. Because astrology is a very feminine, female horoscopes type thing. There's a reason they keep the men away from this. In Mexico, they had a guy on the news called Walter Mercado, who was a very flamboyant gay man who would give astrology readings at the end of the news. They try to feminize this. They try and keep it away. This is why the Roman Catholic Catechism 2116 says astrology is evil. They don't want you to know this stuff.
Interesting. So, well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if they're trying to hide it, there's a reason why they're trying to hide it. And so when, something is, they're desperately trying to tell you not to do something, as the naughty child that I am, inquisitive, I want to know, well, why? Why can, so that's where we should be looking. So gematria, your book of that is about numbers, isn't it? And connecting coded numbers.
Yes, gematria is encoding numbers. An example of gematria would be the Hebrew word chai, which is a chet and a yud, comes out to 18. That means life. This is why the Jews... Huh?
Can you just make that screen a bit bigger so we can have a closer look? Can you zoom in a bit to that?
Hold on. Crap. Does this
Only
help?
if you can. Zoom into the slide. No, it won't. No, it's okay. So, yeah, sorry, carry on. If you give us a few examples of the...
Yeah, gematria, chai, is 18. This is why when a Jew goes on a vacation or gets on a plane or goes on a long drive, their family is supposed to give them not a lot of money, but like $1.80 or $3.60 or 54 cents to throw in their car to protect them. They have to give in denominations of 18 because it means life.
Interesting. Can you say...
Etymology would be, well, for example, etymology, let's talk about the word Lord, for example. Lord, that the Christians call Lord. The Lord is a 13th century word that goes back to the word lard. Okay? Now, the thing about Lord and lard is that Jesus, for example, they call him Christ. It's a title. It's not a last name. His name wasn't Jesus Christ. It wasn't Mary Christ and Joseph Christ gave birth to Jesus Christ. That's not how this works. Christ is a title. And in Greek, it means anointed one or oil. So check out how this works. You're talking about lard and oil. What is lard? It's oil in a different set of circumstances. Well, what is Jesus? Well, he is the Lord in a different set of circumstances. The etymology is all there. So that's examples of words breakdown that you guys don't really know. Church goes back to an English word called kirk, which goes back to Ceres, which goes back to the Greek Circe. Who was Circe? This is what the word church comes from. Circe was a goddess who used to hypnotize men, bring them into the house and eat them. That's what the church does. That's the root of the words. The power in a word or in a symbol, in a sign, like this, like this, like this. These are all explainable, and they're all rooted in positive things. They're just slightly inverted and perverted. All they did with the swastika is mirror image it. That's all they did to it, to change it. Numerology, astronomy, astrology, astrotheology.
The remote viewing. What is remote viewing? What can you explain about remote viewing?
Remote viewing is basically what happens when you put yourself down into sort of a trance. So here's how remote viewing basically works: is you put yourself down into a trance, and then it's like an astral projection. Your consciousness leaves, and this has been leaked by the Pentagon, by the way, that this is a fact. This happens. They have remote viewers that are taught from a very young age. What they could do is they could disassociate and go anywhere in the world, because space and time is an illusion. They can go anywhere in the world and see what's there and report back.
It's fascinating. And do you think anybody can do that?
Everybody has their gifts. I don't think everybody can do it, but sometimes what they'll do is, like, if a remote viewer has, if like a remote viewer has like an item of someone, right? This is why when they do spiritual work with people, they need an item of yours, like a hoodie or a pillow or something that was yours, because it attaches you to them. And with remote viewing, sometimes if they have like a kid's bunny, what they'll do is they'll just disassociate and they'll start drawing on a piece of paper what they see. And sometimes it'll be like a certain symbol, and then you can find that symbol where it is and go find the person. This has been leaked. This has been released. You know, the government confirms this.
That's amazing. So when you say DNA encoding, what is DNA encoding?
DNA encoding is how I've done it in the book. Basically, you can fit. There's two things that are going to happen in the next couple hundred years. Number one is we're going to have crystals the way the Atlanteans used to have crystals. Crystals power everything. They're free energy. They're energy sources. They're basically alive, in a sense. I know that sounds crazy, but they really are. Energetically, crystals are alive. And what they did about 10, 15 years ago is they were able to put a movie or transfer a movie and a document into a crystal and then retrieve it. Now, crystals have way more storage than your typical microchips in your computer. This is going to be the future. If you've ever listened to Edgar Cayce, or if you've ever heard who he was, the sleeping prophet, he's the one that talked about how Atlantis overcharged the crystals, and that's how they blew themselves up. But the thing about DNA encoding is there's two things on Earth that you can use as almost unlimited storage. One is crystals, and one is DNA. You can literally encode a message, or you can encode all the knowledge of the entire world. All of the knowledge of the entire world can be encoded in a few codons of your DNA.
What are mystery schools? Sorry, so finish that.
No. That's what I was saying. And then you can retrieve
that. Mystery schools, is that where they go and teach you
This is like the ancient. This is like what everybody thinks is evil, like the Masons or
Right. Yeah.
the Rosicrucians or the Knights Templar, things of that nature. I go into that stuff.
Okay, brilliant. Now, can I just ask you, when we talk about remote viewing, if someone is able to remote view, don't you also have, is that remote viewing or is that astral projection? Where you also have people trained to stop others being able to astral project?
Yes, but that's a very, very, very deep topic that I haven't gone too deep into. I personally don't astral project or remote view. That doesn't mean that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I do write everything on this topic's discussed in book series thing. I write it's part of the story, and it helps release the truth.
Brilliant. DMT monitoring.
So in one of my books, one of the people is in a coma. Right. One of the people. You've seen the movie Inception?
I can't remember. Might have done.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No, I haven't.
It's the one where they go into dreams.
No, I can't remember. This one down to Inception. I might have done actually, and I can't remember now.
It's fantastic. It's an incredible.
That's on my list. I'm going to put it down in my.
What DMT monitoring basically is this man is in a coma, and one of my characters has to go ask him a question. So he gets put under with a DMT drip. And DMT, basically, it's a banana bag. And when I say banana bag, I just mean it's like a sodium chloride bag. And it's hooked up to him, and then they just slowly add DMT slowly into it. And then he ends up hallucinating and going to this guy wherever he is and getting that information.
Wow. That's fascinating. So you talk about lucid dreaming as well. What's the that's when you're
when you're dreaming and you get to a point where you're self-aware of yourself in the dream, and then you can do whatever you want in the dream, that's a lucid dream. Instead of things just happening to you, you're making things happen in your dream.
Acoustic levitation.
So that is how the pyramids were built. That is how the pyramids were built. What you do is you match the vibrational frequency of an item like a stone, right? And when you match it, it basically levitates it. In fact, you can go to YouTube and type in acoustic levitation rocks, and you'll see plenty of videos where they do this. It's just vibrational energy.
Wow. Spiritual guides and shared dreaming.
Yeah, shared dreaming. Well, that's kind of like a. There's been talk about people having the same dream over locations, over vast land. People having the same exact dream. One of the things that they did, I don't know if you know this, but in Japan, what they did was they took 3 men and they hooked them up with all the stuff, right? And what they did was they put them in one room, and then just using their thoughts, not a remote, not a joystick, not a game or thing, just using their mind, they played a game of Tetris together.
That's just amazing. It's the power of the mind, isn't it?
It is. It's all it is, and it's all spiritual. Everything is spiritual. It's just been inverted or perverted, or it's been left alone, but everything is spiritual.
It's fascinating. So, if the heavens are, astrotheology, star signs, and
right,
and it's a map of the seasons to work with the right time.
It's a farmer's almanac.
Yeah. But could it be something else? Could there be more into it? I mean,
there is. Let me show you this real quick.
Let me go back to the.
Shit, hold on. No, you don't have to put that back on. I have to find it. Hold on. Once.
Enoch levitated the stones to build the pyramids. Someone said. It's fascinating stuff. If anyone's got any questions that you'd like to drop, please do. And don't forget to share. Yeah, lucid dreaming is something that's, I mean, I've done it. I'll tell you the other thing I do. I fly in my dreams. I love flying. It's fascinating. I love it.
I'm almost there. Hold on.
That's okay.
Oh, here we go. I got it. Okay. Finally, we can share this. I'm about to expand this like you can't believe. Let me know when you can see this.
We're here. Right. Yep.
Okay. I want you to understand is that the scriptures are metaphysical, astrological, which is what I teach, anatomical, which I get into a little bit too, alchemical, which I touch on, spiritual, esoteric, and mythology. It's a gematria book, it's an etymology book, a numerology book, and it's also a psychedelic book. I teach one slice of the astrological point. There are 11 total holy sciences that are that deep encoded into the Bible. I've been studying the astrology for 11 years, going on 12 years, and through my mentors and everything, and teaching this stuff, but it's only one science out of 11. That's how deep this book is, and now you can see how foolish it is to take this literally.
But what if you took, surely that if you took all these different names, if you like, and, you know, put them all out there, surely somewhere in the middle, there's another message that we're probably missing. You know, it's like if metaphysical, astrological, or whatever, all of these different,
right?
It could, you know, and you blend them
they
all.
They all lead to something. I just don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't have enough time in my life to figure it out.
No, we wouldn't.
Still doing
but it
astrology.
But wouldn't it be amazing if you got a group of people together, you know, like someone that studied the metaphysical side or astrological.
I've been trying to do that. Yeah, I've been trying
to get all the people together and have like a round table discussion and put it all out there and say, right, well, this is what I've learned, and then you can, you know, there's got to be a way of tying this all together, because if I've got the knowledge, like you've got the knowledge, and you've, like you said, you've touched one side. If I've then got the knowledge of, say, the alchemical side of it or the mythology side of it, and I can then play cards with you and say, actually, now you've got that, and, you know, I've got this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the more of us can share what I say, the more of us, because I know nothing about this, but the more of people out there that do know about this,
it's funny
that can all get together.
Religious people like Christians, Jews, Muslims, and everything, mostly Christians, though, think that what I'm doing is evil.
Yeah.
But let me explain something to you. I appreciate and respect the Bible more than any Christian, because I know just how deep it is. You are literally fooling yourself if you think this book was to be taken literally. That's why there's so many contradictions. That's why things don't make sense in it. That they had to come up with an entire mental thought process called apologetics to be able to explain it.
What is that, apologetics?
It's the way that they logically try and dance around the fact that there was a talking donkey, or that Adam and Eve had two sons and then populated the world, or that Noah had every animal in the world. This is apologetics. It's how they explain that. And it's a very convoluted, very convoluted way of seeing this. But I respect this book more than anything. It's the greatest book ever written. 100%.
There must be something in it for everybody to break the codes And
Mhm.
I truly believe if people got together instead of arguing, you know, even all these different religions, I'm sure whoever your religion is, and you know, it's just mostly the same in every religion.
Mhm.
They all worship a god. They all believe in prophets and messiahs, and you know, so I'm sure that deep inside it, if everybody studied it in a different way, but then got together and shared their experience and actually tried to come together, there could be a huge code cracking
I know.
that could
That's what I'm
happen.
trying to do. I'm trying to
Yeah,
build
the
this up so
energy.
that I have the means and the mythology to put everyone together.
Someone's just asked, so if the Bible is not to be taken literally, where is she gone? Where heaven and hell are for everyone to have a better. So where are heaven and hell? What are heaven and hell?
The idea of heaven is just a different dimension after you pass, where you can still spiritually go, but there's no evil or pain. Um, that's the idea of heaven. Hell, I already explained last time, was winter.
A
Right?
winter, that's right, yeah.
Right? We went into how hell was winter. The word inverno means winter in
Mm,
Italian. Well, they just flipped it.
yep,
Remember what I tell you? They just mirror it or flip it. They moved the
yep.
V to a F, and now it's the inferno, which is the
Inferno,
opposite
yeah.
of winter, which is a boiling place where souls without a nervous system to feel pain will feel pain, basically.
Mm. Um, it is fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And I think it would be amazing if a group of people that studied the Bible and with its, like you say, in all these different
Mm-hmm.
points could all
Mm-hmm.
come together and share their knowledge and discuss it like, you know, adults. Does
Mm-hmm.
anyone have any questions? Um, so yeah, I'm kind of quite blown by it. There's a lot to take in, and this is, like you say, years and years of work that you've touched on
This is
just to sort of.
6,000 years. Our history starts with the Sumerians that they'd like you to believe. And it's from the Epic of Gilgamesh, all the way to the Book of Mormon, to the Gospel of Emmanuel, including the Quran. Every ancient book that we've taken as holy is encoded astrotheology.
What about the books that they've taken out of this?
Well, we did the Gnostic texts too. Remember,
Yeah,
like the
and the
Gospel of
ways
Judas.
that they've been translated.
Mm-hmm. You got to understand is that when people tell me that you're not really translating it, number one, I can read Hebrew,
Mm.
so that helps. Most Christians cannot. But the other thing too is that when you're talking about um, things that are translated, I'll give you an example. In Hebrew, the commandment says, "Thou shalt not murder." In the King James Bible, King James, who was a homosexual demonologist, by the way, King James Bible, it says, "Thou shalt not kill." Well, those aren't the same words,
No.
right? So they'll argue about this. But what people aren't arguing about is my cipher. Nobody's debating whether a goat means a goat. Nobody's debating whether a lamb means a ram or this and that. You know what I'm saying? The twins. What I've discovered is immune to that because nobody's arguing those words.
Mm.
I'd have a whole different fight on my hands if it was the case, but does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Did you read King James's previous book then?
The demonology book?
Yeah, have you read it?
I haven't yet. No.
Be interested to hear what he's actually talking
I've been
about.
told that he blames everything on women in astrology, by the way.
Well, there's a surprise.
Yeah.
What was the plant of life that Gilgamesh was in search of? Do you know?
It's been a
The
long time
plant
since I've read.
of life. No, I can't remember. The Bible's not meant to be taken literally, but doesn't it also a book to exercise control?
I find that a lot of religious people, Jew, Christian, Muslim, when they get deeply devout into the religion, this is going to sound mean, but I think it's because we're all sovereign, we're all divine beings, we're all a fractal of God. We all have discernment between right and wrong. We learn that as we grow. I find that, well, let me put it to you this way. They did a survey on a bunch of Buddhist monks in a monastery, a couple of monasteries, and they asked them this question: why do you stay here? Do you know that 50% of them, or 45 to 50% of these people, said, I do not trust myself to make wise decisions if I wasn't here? And that is exactly what I think the religious are. I think these are people that need to be told what to do because they cannot be trusted. This is why it's called born again, because you're forgiven for your previous life of bullshit.
Mm.
You know, this is what I do. These are not people. You can be spiritual, understand the Bible for what it truly is, and not take it literally. That's just entry level stuff, is taking this literally.
Yeah.
And that's where most of the world is.
It's interesting. I mean, it really is interesting. I often wonder, I really do. And obviously, this is no disrespect to anyone who's a Christian or whatever faith you are, absolutely no disrespect. But I don't, I don't believe that the Bible is the word of God. I really don't. And that there are more to it. It doesn't flow. I think I've got mine in the other room. It's not here. And I have tried to read it, but you can't read it literally, like you say. And there's more hidden meaning in there. And it takes a lot of time, patience, resources, dedication to find the hidden meaning. But sometimes, the Bible is there where people feel like, oh, God has forgiven you, you're a born again Christian, and all your sins have been wiped
Well, you
away.
know where born again comes from, right? The
No.
sun dies December 21st.
Oh, right.
It remains dead for 3 days. Just like Jesus remains dead for 3 days. December 25th, the day of all the gods' birth, the sun is born again because it rises. It was dead, and now it's going to rise a degree, and then every day it's going to rise a degree. It's being celebrated because now the nights are getting shorter, the days are getting longer, things are getting warmer. You're going to get your food. You're going to do all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a way to avoid self changes. And if I done bad things in my life and then I, all of a sudden felt like, right, I've done really bad and I'm going to, get to a point in life where I've realized I've done bad and now I'm seeking forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Why, and you decide to be a born again Christian, start going to church and read the Bible.
Well, what is a born again Christian? What do they believe in? Their number one tenet that they believe in is the resurrection. They believe Jesus came back to life, overcoming death. Born again Christians, only to get to heaven, as they've been explained heaven is. To get to heaven, Christians just need to have faith in the resurrection and that Jesus is who he said he is. That's it. It's called faith without works. These are Christians. Faith, just faith that Jesus did this, is enough to get you to heaven. It's a free gift of salvation. It's a free gift that if you don't accept, you'll burn in hell, but it's a free gift. And that's basically what they believe. They just have to believe. That's the only requirement. It doesn't allow for critical thinking.
No. Yeah, it doesn't. So it's it stops you doing inner work, because what you're doing is you're being forgiven, but it actually, I think it stops you doing deep inner work to make real changes inside yourself. Do we have any questions? Someone said it's literally a story of the luminaries. Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. I find this stuff really, really interesting. And please go over and have a look at Micah's website, debunkmywork.com.
Yeah, let me put it up real quick. Hold on.
I'll put it on the link as well. And
all right, hold on.
You need to. That's right. You need to forgive yourself. Yeah, absolutely. You need to forgive yourself. Any questions before we end it? It causes so many
these
rows.
three sessions that we've done, it's, to me, I don't see I can't see somebody arguing it. All right, I'm sharing my website. I have all my social media at the top and my YouTube channel. I have a couple of quotes here. The Complete Guide to Astrotheology, we did that. The last 6,000 years, we did that. When I explained what God was, we did that. The Illuminati hand symbols, where I break down everything that I was telling you, like this, what it all means. And then just a little bit of me, and then here is my book series. The links are direct. You're going to have to get them in order, by the way, so read these books in order. I have them down here. This is the order. Basically, you start from the top left and then go to the right and then go down. This is the kids' book. Then here's all the ancient holy texts. If you want to see the Epic of Gilgamesh, I only gave you one slide from it, but if you want to see all the breakdown from everything I have ever done in chronological order. Now here's the Old Testament.
Amazing. So much work there. Look at all that work.
Here's the New Testament. Here are the Gnostic texts. And then at the bottom, you have a way to contact me. You can email me. This goes to my email. I reply to everything. And then again, here's my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook, my YouTube. And that's the website. It's debunkmywork.com. I haven't had a single person come on my channel or even noticed somebody on the internet making a debunking video of me.
But equally, why would anyone be angry if you are living your life doing good, or even not harming anyone, helping as much as you can? You're not living with anger, hatred. You're trying to live your life by giving back.
What I do reflects the part in these people that they don't like about themselves. That's what happens.
This is what I always think. Why? I mean, I've had people say to me, the reason you can't read the Bible is because you haven't been, you haven't got the Holy Spirit in you. I'm like, really? Yeah. So does that mean that God does not love me and he's not going to,
no. And it's interesting too, because there is there is something called the VMAT2 gene. It's a gene expression in our DNA. It's known as the God gene. And you'll find that most religious people, including the people that speak in tongues, the people who tend to be very religious, have this gene. Some people just have it. You got to also understand,
it must come from somewhere.
Yeah, but you got to also understand, Laura, is that we all come to Earth, but we're all on different stages of learning. Okay, there's some people who it's their first incarnation and they're new souls and they follow the news and they have their favorite political party and they just do what they're supposed to do and follow everything. And then there's other people that break the mold, people who have been here many, many, many times before.
So the Bible doesn't believe in reincarnation, does it?
That is debatable. I haven't done too much interest in research into that, but I think there was a section that was removed from the Bible about it. I'd have to look into that.
Right. It'd be interesting, because I'm sure they say that you go to wherever you're meant to go, either heaven or hell, and that's it.
When you die and you see that white light,
don't go there.
What you're supposed to do is turn around, and the whole universe is in front of you, and you tell them where you want to go. I want to go back home, or this and that. If you walk towards the white light, that's a reincarnation trap.
Soul trap.
Yeah.
Have you done much on the soul trap?
I have not. there's still so many books that I need to, like, I have this one right here. The books of the Ethiopian Bible. This is what the Ethiopian Bible has that the Bible doesn't have. They were removed books. These are all the books. I'm horrible with this. Hold on. These are all the books that are in it. I've already done the first one, and it's on my YouTube. But I'm going to break these all down too, because it's all the same. It's all the same, how they've all been encoded the same way. Everything.
That's fantastic. Right, final questions. If anyone's got anything they'd like to say, excuse me. If not, we're going to end, and I'll put all the links at the top of this live. And it's been really enlightening. Who is trying to trap you in the white light? I think it's what it is it's a soul trap. So it's where when you go to the white light, you come back to this reality. You're reborn into this reality.
Earth is a realm. Earth is a realm. It's not a physical place. And it's funny too, because all this argument about flat Earth and round Earth and toroidal field Earth and apple Earth and whatever you want to call it is irrelevant. It's a nonsense, because we're in a realm, and and these books are how they explain how to survive. This is how to survive. You need to know. You see Taurus, you got to plant. You don't plant, you're not going to harvest. You don't harvest, the Pharaoh is going to need dream interpretation to figure out how to do things, and you're going to get killed. You know, you had to understand this. And think about this too, Laura. We have, and I know you're in the UK, right? So you just never get good weather. But think about this for a second, is that back in the day before there was industrial pollution and all this stuff, you could look up at the sky and see everything.
Yep.
Everything. And they would see things going like this, and they'd be like, oh, this is what he's doing. You're telling your child, you know, Jupiter is doing this right now. You know, this is what he's doing. This is why this is happening. That's what they did.
So the white light, Kay, is what brings you back to what reincarnates you in this realm.
Some people say that the white light is the light coming from a woman as you're being born back into the hospital room. But yeah.
So it's a real, I'll tell you, one of the best chats I think that I listened to is Eric DeBay. He done a soul trap discussion, and I thought it was brilliant. And so if you like, I'll send that to you, Kate. It was absolutely brilliant, because Eric is really deep thinker, and if you listen to his podcasts, he really does sort of go far out deep thinking, and he actually has a way of making you sort of, he talks about things you didn't even know you wanted to ask, and you think, wow, yeah, I didn't even think of that. So yeah, you need to look at some of his work, but I don't know who else talks about the soul trap, but it's really, really interesting. Thoughts on the fallen angels now being back for the harvest?
Say that again?
Have you got any thoughts on the fallen angels now being back for the harvest?
I'm not really sure what that means.
No, not sure what that means. Yeah, I'll send you the link. But yeah, Eric's done some really deep thinking work. Right, thank you, Micah. Really, really enjoyed this. And I hope you guys have taken something from this. Don't forget, this is part 3. So if you want to go back and look at part 1, part 2.
And it's not from far along. We did these 3 parts in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. And we'll take it from there. Someone's saying, if we wish to find the answers to these questions, we can take a large dose of psilocybin. Is that mushrooms? Through our own shamanic, we can find out all about the afterlife. We also find out how to fully protect our spaces and beings from the evil forces. Interesting. Bit of mushrooms there. Good for your health and your mind, apparently. So yeah, right, that's it. Thank you so much, and please don't forget to share, subscribe to Micah's channels, which I'm going to put on the link, and I hope you enjoyed it, and speak to you again very soon, guys.
Thank
Okay,
you.
much love.